Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to take apart and put back together your SKS. So first of all, you probably will want a multi-tool and maybe a skinny Phillips head screwdriver. And first, what you're going to want to do is lay it down on a table or flat surface of some kind and make sure, obviously, first that it's not loaded. Fine. Take your mag out and then lay it back down with your bolt facing up, and you'll want to close that too. And so next you want to find this little switch right here, and it should be on the bolt's side of the gun, or the bolt carrier, sorry. And then you want to take that, and some of them are easier than others, but some of them you just slide up with your hand, but then some other ones you might need the screwdriver to push it up with. So then some of them you might be able to pull it out like that, which mine you can't, and that's why I have the multi-tool. So then you'll flip it over and look for this little dot right here where that's the other side of that switch. So then you want to get out your multi-tool or the screwdriver. The screwdriver will probably work, but your multi-tool has a skinnier screwdriver probably, and you'll need that. So then get out a Phillips head off your multi-tool, and then you'll want to just sit the gun in your lap, and then you just want to kind of you can go really hard. I mean, it's sturdy, it's not going to break it or anything, but you just kind of want to hit it until it knocks it out of place. Just like that. See how it's starting to go down? And then by then, you should be able to get this right here. Make sure it's pulled all the way out and flipped up. And then you should be able to just slide your receiver cover right off. And then you'll sit it just right up here. And then next, you'll want to take the spring out right here. And if you want to clean it, you can take this apart by like sliding the spring back, and then you can pull that off and then it'll come apart. But be careful if you do that, because then it could just shoot the whole thing out all across the room you're doing it in. So be careful if you do that. And the next, you want to slide your bolt carrier back to the farthest position, and it should just slide out with your bolt underneath it, and then you just take it out. And if it didn't, then just look back under and pull your bolt out itself. Alright, the next part can be a little tricky. So what you want to do is, see this switch right here, you want to take it, and sorry for the thunder in the background, by the way, it's probably messing with the audio a lot, but then you just want to take that switch and flip it up, not too far, where half of it's on the gun and half of it's off. So then you want to get it in your lap again, and kind of just grab right here on your gas piston cover and pull it off like that. And then next, if you really want to take it completely apart and clean it completely, then just flip it up like that, and then get this piece out from underneath it, or inside of it, sorry. And then next, what you want to do is put your hand right up against this hole right here, or your thumb at least, and then grab this little switch right here, pull it the rest of the way forward, and the spring will come out. And that part is a little bit difficult to get back in, so it'll probably take multiple tries when we're putting it back together. Alright, so next you want to flip it over, and then right here, right at your trigger, right behind your safety, there should be this little notch right there in the gun. And what you want to do is grab your screwdriver, and with that you want to just put the end of the screwdriver right in that notch. And sorry, I'm going to have to move the camera for a minute so I can push. But when you push it hard enough, it should just snap right out of place like that, and all I had to do is push. And don't be scared to push as hard as you can, because it's not going to mess it up. And then next, you want to flip it back over like we had it, and move these tools out of the way, and then you can pull your trigger guard right there, or not your trigger guard, your whole entire trigger, and then this spring right here. Be very careful with this. The first time I ever took this gun apart, I panicked because I couldn't figure out where it went, and I just had this extra spring, and I had to look it up. But you want to take this, and I just sit it right here on my trigger so I don't lose it. And then after that, all you have to do is just grab the body of your gun, and boom, you'll have that whole piece out. Just want to lay it across like that. And what I like to do is when I get it taken apart, just so it's easier to put it back together, line everything up with exactly how it would go taken apart. So, see here, put the body of it like that, and just put your trigger right there. And you should have all your pieces laid out. So the first step, there's multiple orders that you can do it in, but this is what I find the easiest. First step of putting it back together is, so you want to put that piece that we just took out back in the gun. So you're going to want to do that by, it's pretty easy, but just this on the very back of the gun, this little piece that sticks down, you want to line it up with the very back of that rectangle slot in the bottom. And then once it falls into place, everything else should too. And then sometimes I have the problem with getting the front to line up, but all you have to do with that is just push it down in there, and then now we're good like that. And then your next step is going to be to flip the gun over, and this was really tricky to do with one hand because I'm holding the camera. Then you want to take your little spring that I told you to save earlier, drop it right down in this little hole on the back side of the gun. It doesn't matter which way, so you're fine either way with it. Just sit it down like that. And then you want to take your trigger, and it can be a little bit tricky at first, but you see it has these pegs on the side. Down in this piece, you can see where the pegs snap into place. It's probably not that easy to see on camera, but you'll be able to see it pretty easy on your gun. So then, before you put this in, you want to make sure everything is lined up with the gun itself so it fits in nice. And then you just want to put it down in there, and then it'll kind of fold back down in once you have those pegs in. Like that. And then, so this part, it scared me a little bit too the first time I did it, but you're just going to have to hit right down there in your trigger guard as hard as you can, and then that'll just pop it back into place. It might take you a few tries, or you might get it first, but you just want to do that, and then it'll knock it back into place. And then if there's a little gap right there, that doesn't really matter, but if you can fix it by just pushing, grabbing this right here part of your gun, and then pushing your hand up against the trigger well till it closes. And then next step is going to be to put the gas piston stuff back in. So this is where it gets a little tricky. So what you're going to want to do is take this piece that I had earlier, and then you're going to want to put this little lever about how we had it when we took it apart, where it's not all the way on the gun, not all the way off, just about halfway. And then you want to keep it about like that, and then push your spring into this hole right here, and you should be able to find it. And then just push it back, and you need to, if you look down in there, there's a little mechanism, and it has to be a certain way before it'll go in. And if it won't go in, just move around her putting the piece down in there, and then it should just slide right into place. And then you got to keep the switch around this general area for it to stay in. And then this next part is what takes a few tries. So then you're just going to want to slide this piece back into your gun right there, and then make sure it's even, none of it's hanging out on either side. And you're going to want to put it in the front right there, and then it won't be all the way in the back, But then if you have your little switch right, then you should just be able to pop it right into place just by hitting it on the top like I just did. And if you're lucky, then your switch will just fall back down. Now, if not, you probably didn't have the spring pushed in that we just put in, like right there. You probably didn't have it pushed in all the way, or you didn't have your switch in the right position. And that's just like a really easy fix. All you have to do is just try your lever, and if the little lever switch doesn't work, then you try your spring again. So this comes the easy part right here. You just want to take your bolt, and then you want to take your bolt carrier right here, and they fit into place perfectly right there. They hook together, and then what you want to do is you just want to sit your gun up like that where you're looking down into it, and then right here you'll see this little silver slant like where the piece or your trigger is, and then if you put the very end of the bolt like right on that slant, it should just slide into place perfectly. And sometimes it takes a few tries, but if you do it right, see right there, I didn't get it. And sometimes what you can do is go ahead and put the bolt down in there and then slide it forward like that. So you can either do it the first way that I showed you, where you just put them together and then slide them down in there, and then or you could just do it the way where you put the bolt down in there and then put the bolt carrier on top of it and slide it forward. And there's not really an easier way, it just depends on what you think is the best. Then you want to take this huge spring right here, and you want to slide it right on top. It'll go right up there inside your, let me turn the gun here so y'all can see. It'll go right here down inside of your bolt carrier. Voice crack. And then so it should just line up perfectly on top of it. And then for this next step, you want to make sure that, the last step actually, you want to make sure that this piece is pulled all the way out and flipped upwards, pointing up. And then you want to grab your receiver cover right there, and you want to just line it up basically on the tracks and slide it until it pops into place. And then you want to take this right here, this little switch, and then it's hard to do this with one hand, guys, sorry. You want to kind of knock it into place just enough to hold that in there, and then that's when you can just lay it down and put your hand right on it and push it down. And see how if you flip it over before you're done, you want to make sure that it comes all the way up, and see how that isn't? Well, then that means you either need to push it harder, or if yours is how mine is and it's a little bit stiff and you can't put the whole thing, and you can't just do the whole thing with your hands, you want to take the butt of your screwdriver and just give it 1 or 2 good taps, and then that won't hurt it. And check it, and if it's still not good, then just give it another little. And then once it's completely flat and that's coming out the opposite side, it's like right there at the edge and it's not coming out and it's not farther back in, then you can just slide it back down to that little circle right there, and then put your mag back in. And surely you guys know how to do that. And I might do another video later showing you how to clean it. But that's it for now, and thanks for watching.